Welcome again. This is the 16th part of the Dictinian motion, and we are now starting a new subtopic, that is particle on a track. Now, we just how make the questions in exams. They basically use the help of different types of notations. Obviously, they have 26 alphabet letters from A to Z, both in smalls and caps. That means it has 52. Not only that, he also used the Greek notations just like alpha, beta, gamma, delta, psi, xi, chi, pi, all of these things to denote the several dynamical quantities just like speed, velocity, acceleration, displacement, whatever be it. And the problem is that maybe you have done this problem in your home, but when you are seeing or observing that problem in the exam with some different notation, with a very tricky jugglery, then it may be like that I have not done this problem. But most of the problems, basic things is the same. We have to concentrate about the basic things, and whatever be the questions asked after that, using different types of mathematical tricks, using different types of mathematical notations, or alphabetical, or maybe Greek and maybe English alphabetical, it will be easy for you. So we are trying to solve the basic things here. After that, I will show you in some famous books how these questions are asked in different books in different way. All of them have made the way different, make the presentation different, but they cannot differ the basic thing, the basic phenomena. Today we are going to discuss this thing. So let us consider a particle, just like here. Why I have considered a particle, the point object, the point mass? Because I have told that we can represent any object by a point, considering the total mass is as a point. The sun can be considered as a point mass, earth can be considered as a point mass, and also you. So I just represent everything as a particle. If its length is negligible during the motion, then we can consider it as a point. Not only length, the dimension, the volume, the area, the length of it is negligible during the motion and is not required during the motion, or in other words I can say all the system, all the object, all the particles of the object executes the same thing in the same manner, then we can treat that object as a particle. So here we take the particle or a point mass. So let us consider particle or a point mass is moving along a straight line. At t equal to 0, its velocity is, we consider it is 0. That is, it is starting from rest. After that, up to t equal to t1, we consider it is accelerated with an acceleration, constant acceleration. No time dependence is here, with constant acceleration alpha up to time t1, and at this point on its path its velocity is now v. Okay, obviously it is not 0, it has some value. After that, it again starts its journey, and now it is deaccelerated, and the value of the constant retardation is beta here. So when it reaches the final point, say this time is capital T, with respect to which? With respect to the initial. not with respect to this position. With respect to the point where the journey starts, at time t equal to capital T, it will be here, and at that time also we can consider its velocity is 0 because the retarding force or the retardation acts on it. So if I want to write down the equation of motions, that is, we know the three equations of motions, but now I am writing down the equation of motion relating the time and distance. I want to calculate what is the time taken by it, total time taken by it, and the distance at first. So I take at first the total time taken by it. And the first equation of motion for the first scenario, starting from here and goes up to here, the first scenario, and again starting from here and goes to here. This is my mathematical or numerical point of view, so I can break it easily. That is my choice. So according to this, we can say that v, the final velocity, I will just say the final velocity equal to the initial velocity 0 plus acceleration alpha into the time. From here to here, the time is t1. Okay, so this is the first case. So if I calculate the time t1 from it, then t1 equal to v divided by alpha. Obviously here v is the maximum velocity along this trajectory, because after acting the acceleration on it, it reaches the maximum velocity, then again returns and becomes 0. So I can consider capital T equal to T1 plus T2. It is my consideration, and if I consider this thing, then what is the T2? T2 is the time taken by the particle to execute the next scenario. That's number 2. Starting from here, moves to here, time taken T2, and from here to here, time taken T1. So if I write down this thing, then we can say 0, final velocity equal to the initial velocity minus, because of retardation, value of retardation is beta, and the time taken by it is T2. So from it we can say T2 equal to V divided by beta. So the total time I can say capital T equal to T1 plus T2. T1 is V divided by alpha, it is V divided by beta. So V into 1 by alpha plus 1 by beta. 1 by alpha into 1 by beta. This is capital T. So capital T equal to V into, we can say it is the alpha into beta divided by the alpha plus beta. So from it we can calculate the total time taken by it. If the velocity, maximum velocity and the accelerations are known to us, we can calculate the maximum velocity from it, and the formula of it is alpha into beta divided by alpha plus beta into capital T. It is very easy to remember. The product of the accelerations, here retardation also, acceleration and retardation, and the sum of these two values numerically, not vectorially. Here we have written down the vector equation, and we have not used the vector notation arrow above it, because what is the cause behind this I have told in the previous lectures. Why we have not used the vector sign or vector notation just above the velocity and the accelerations. So this is the velocity, maximum velocity attained by the particle, maximum velocity, and this is the total time. So in the meantime, going from here to here, if I consider distance is d1, it covers the distance d1, and after that in the second scenario, in the second event, it covers the distance d2. then we can write that d1 equal to 0 initial velocity into time plus 1 by 2 into alpha, that is the acceleration, into square of time. And for d2 we'll write initial velocity at the starting of the second event is v, not plus because there is a retardation, so 1 by 2 into the value of retardation into the time. From it we can write d1 divided by t1, we can write d1 divided by t1 equal to 1 by 2 into alpha, 1 by 2 into alpha t1, and here d2 divided by t2, it is equal to v, sorry, here should be vt2, I am forget about that, initial velocity into time, minus of 1 by 2 into beta into t2. Okay, so if I just subtract these two, then just see a new type of expression is formed, and the physicists and the question makers are basically fond about this expression. These type of equations are very favorite to them. Why it is? Because I want to say, because if you try to want each and every questions, it is not possible. But at the time you consider you just solve one question, at that time 1000 maybe 10,000 questions may formulated. You cannot chase it, but try to understand. You can try to understand the basics. So if I subtract these two, d1 by t1 minus d2 divided by t2, then it will be 1 by 2 into alpha t1 minus of v plus of 1 by 2 into beta into t2. So if I take this thing, just see, if I take this thing, then it will be 1 by 2 into alpha t1 plus beta t2. Okay, and what is v? We have just calculated, it is here. So it will be alpha into beta divided by alpha plus beta into t1 plus t2. If I just replace this capital T, and if I write down it here, d1 t2 minus d2 t1 divided by t1 t2. So different types of questions may be asked from this. So here this type of expression is formed. Here if you make anything 0 here or in linear here, you can get a different expression. This type of things also asked in the exam. Next, if we want to find out the problem, that is the distance here, then obviously we can write for the first event, that is v square equal to 0 square plus 2 into alpha into d1. My friend, don't think that what we have done, it is completely waste of time, because what we have done now you try to understand the basics, that if a particle starting from rest accelerated by a constant acceleration, and if then reaches the maximum velocity and then again returns, then how we can analyze its motions, what kind of expressions may be formed, because these types of expressions is required in the time of solving numericals, in the time of solving several proofs. So you have to be the complete clear concept about that. So this is the d1. So if I find out d1 from here, that will be v square divided by 2 alpha, and for the second event. Final velocity square equal to initial velocity of the second event, that is 0, minus of 2 beta into d2. So from it, if I calculate d2, that is v square divided by 2 beta. But now if I want to calculate the total distance, when d equal to d1 plus d2 equal to v square divided by 2 alpha, v square divided by 2 beta. Okay, so just say it is v square by 2. If I take common, it will be 1 by alpha plus 1 by beta. So if I replace the value of v, that is the maximum velocity, that is the product of the values of acceleration divided by the sum, its square here is 1 by 2, and obviously if I calculate this thing, then it will become alpha plus beta divided by alpha beta. Obviously here should be a t square. Okay, so this thing becomes 1 by 2 into alpha into beta divided by alpha plus beta into t square. So this is the thing I want to say. I have discussed only one particular topic. A particle starts from initially here, moving with constant acceleration, reaches the maximum velocity, then retards, and its velocity is again 0. Do you ever think that if I want to draw the graph of this thing, how it will look like? Because we have done the graphical analysis and we have done these things using the graphical analysis. We have, when I have calculated displacement, at that time I have calculated the velocity versus time graph. If I draw the velocity versus time graph, how it will look like? It is accelerated, reaches the maximum value, and this maximum value we have just calculated now. The maximum value is alpha into beta divided by alpha plus beta into capital T, the total time. This is the maximum value. We can say it is the alpha into beta divided by alpha plus beta into t, and it is the constant acceleration, that is the slope. If I take a very small slope, if I take the total slope, it does not matter because it is the constant acceleration. Now it is retards with a value beta. Obviously these two slopes may not be equal or may be equal depending on alpha beta equal or not, but it again reaches the velocity 0, and the time required is t2, and the total time is here from 0, if it is 0, and then it will be capital T. So this type of thing we have calculated by, you can calculate displacement by calculating the total area of these triangles. We have done this thing. Okay, and if you just look at this, this is Vmax. This is the value of that alpha into beta divided by alpha plus beta into t, and here to here it is the base capital T into 1 by 2. So 1 by 2 into base into height satisfies. So what we have done in the previously by the graphical analysis, it is also satisfied here. Okay, now if I draw the displacement versus time, or we can say the distance versus time, obviously it is starting from here, it is d to d1, it reaches the d1. The velocity may be 0, but it is, the distance is not 0, the displacement that is occurred, that is not 0. If I take the distance, and obviously it is again, maybe it is a different slope, then this value is d2. Okay, if I taking the distance here at the end of the time interval capital T, but I want to say here, if it is the displacement, then obviously this thing will be returned back due to direction. So this thing you have to understood what you have done from the graphical analysis, what you have done here is basically the same thing.